Carolyn, I'm so sorry. We were having a great conversation. I realized that I had not hit the record button. So we're going to rewind and start over.
Okay, no problem. No problem.
So thank you so much. I'm excited about this conversation, and I'm excited for you. You decided last fall to go through our coach training intensive. It was still in person. That was our last in person before coronavirus kind of shut everything down, and we decided to go online with our coach training intensive, which of course, you know, the certification's always been online, but CTI had been in person. And then you went through CPEC, the certification program. And as you were coming to the end of that 6 months, you realized, hey, there's another CTI coming up. It's online. I'm going to do CTI again. So what made you want to do CTI twice?
I loved CTI when I did it in person in Atlanta, and I met quite a number of people. I found that going again to the online portion or version of CTI was fascinating because I felt much more involved in the online version. And personality-wise, I'm not shy. So I talked to a lot of people in person, but I felt it was much strangely to me. Now I've learned a little bit more about online classes. It was much more intimate the way you set it up online for us than most things I've done online. And I found that I've really met people and was able to speak to them in a very unguarded way. You know, I didn't feel strange. They didn't feel strange. We were in each other's living room, right?
Oh, that's so good. Okay, so stop for a second, because you're saying a lot that's, I mean, it's counterintuitive to think you went to CTI in person and you loved it and met great people and had a great experience. So much so that you decided to go through certification. You decided to go through CTI online, and you said it felt more intimate. Tell me a little bit more about how that's possible.
Well, I think it felt more intimate because when you're sitting physically in the class, you're looking at the teachers. Your focus is there. When you're online with everyone, you are watching your teacher, the speaker, but you're also sitting amongst in a crowd all together, listening and absorbing, and you can see people's faces. You can see how engaged they are. You can see what they're doing, taking a lot of notes. So I felt much more involved in the online portion because I could see and hear and understand how the information was affecting other people.
And
that was the general session.
Yeah, and so we do the general sessions, and then we go to the breakouts. And my guess is part of feeling that sense of connection is from the breakouts. So tell me about how that felt for you in the online coach training intensive.
I think the breakouts were the piece of the CTI online that I found most helpful, because I really felt like we were in each other's living room. Whoever was speaking, there was a sense of trust and intimacy that we were just all going to let our hair down and be who we are and not worry about, oh, hi, I'm so-and-so. Our names were put up on the screen. We just started talking about the issue at hand, and we heard some very personal stories in those breakouts. People losing others to corona, people losing their jobs, their marriages. There were a lot of big issues in there that people were coaching themselves or other people through. So you were immediately invested in these people and cheered them on through the rest of CTI because you had gotten to speak to them. So I met so many people I enjoyed, and now I'm watching them on the Facebook page give updates and say what's happening, and I'm able to recall what we talked about in the class and see how things are progressing. So it was really wonderful.
That's amazing. It was something we didn't expect when we were putting together the online program, but we were working really hard to help people feel connected. And part of what I'm hearing from you is when you're sitting in your house comfortable, and especially when we do the breakouts, because it's just 3 people in a group and it's private. It's not like anybody else that's attending is in those sessions. It's a lot of those sessions going on at the same time. It's like you're having a group FaceTime call and you can see the faces up front. And I'm guessing that's a big piece of it for you.
I mean, I loved that my first group I was in with a person whose family had experienced firsthand COVID, and there was an immediate connection of the three of us trying to talk openly, be supportive, and understand where the person was coming from, and marveling really at how they decided to continue with the CTI training despite this, massive issue in their family life. So I immediately knew I had something to learn from this person, because they were showing up for this class. They were telling us what happened, and they were telling us how they were coaching themselves through it. So
they were wanting to use the coaching. Yeah.
And I couldn't imagine getting that experience or that training elsewhere. But I have to say, I think it does start from the tone you set in the beginning, that this is incredibly respectful. We're here for each other. We're here to learn, to get things done in practice, but there's real trust and intimacy that starts with you at the top of the training. That I think factors into all of these. There's a level expectation that you are going to behave in a certain way in this CTI program. You're going to give all your attention, give both ears to whoever's speaking, and give them all the respect that you can. And I never expected to talk to somebody who went through that situation and coached themselves through. It was so helpful to me as a coach, because since then I've had clients and potential clients who are trying to deal with this issue.
So a year ago, you wouldn't have been talking about clients, right? A year ago is before you even went through the coach training intensive in person. And now you're talking about your own coaching clients, and you are building a full-time coaching practice. How does that feel?
It almost feels like I'm cheating, like it's not work.
It doesn't feel like work. Coaching doesn't feel like work. It feels so good, and you get that feedback, a lot of appreciation.
A lot of feedback, and I think it very much helps to be coached, so that you're on the other side of the equation and appreciate what the client may be feeling.
Yeah.
The appreciation is always beautiful, because you don't necessarily understand yourself how the conversation is leading the client to the next level, whatever goal they're looking for themselves. But I would say that I didn't understand before coach training that the client really does have the answer inside, and that it's your job to ask powerful questions and not overtalk it.
Yeah, so coaching's not telling, although when the world talks about coaching, they're always like, oh, they're just cheerleaders. I don't need anybody to tell me what to do. And that's completely not what coaching is. So that, it sounds like that's something you learned. How hard or easy has it been for you to kind of get on board with that, with giving people the space to just answer those powerful questions and come to their own conclusions and answers?
In my first time in class in CPAC, Kim was my coach in
Kim's
telling me, one of the trainers, and telling me what she thought of my coaching of one of my fellow students. And she kindly said, I think you should listen to the tape, because you don't need to work this hard. You really, really have to get that the client does have the answer. You have to ask the right questions, and you don't have to fill the spaces, the gaps, the silences. And that really, and Kim is so deeply kind, that the way she shared that with me was very helpful. And I went back and I listened, and I was presenting thinking I had to, keep both sides of this conversation going, and I don't. So,
yeah, because if you don't, there's often something that comes up in that, right? If the client's not talking, there's a reason. And that's a coaching moment in itself, which is really powerful.
I think that empowering your client with the knowledge that they really do have the answer, and this is not a path that you're forging for them, is very important, because it puts them in the driver's seat of their lives, where is exactly where they should be. And I would recommend, though, one thing, that being coached myself helped me understand this process much better than I had just come to it without any form of
experiencing what coaching feels like makes you a better coach. That's such a great point. And you've been in our mentor coaching experience as well, which we love to do just to help coaches have the experience of being coached, but also have the experience of being in a coaching group, because that's another way that coaches coach, not just one-on-one, but in groups too.
Yeah, no, the mentoring program I thought was really one of the highlights of CTI, CPEC, the whole program, because all of it comes together. You're really treated as a coach, not a fledgling. It's okay, folks, you're here. And it's very intimate and very supportive. So you can just do the work that you need to do, get feedback, and you never feel silly or that you're being criticized. It's, that was good. This is how maybe it could be better.
Yeah.
I love the intimacy, though, of being able to say things like, gee, what if your client brings up a problem you're not sure you can handle? Or what if
mentor coaching does, like helping you deal with the issues that come up as you're coaching and work through those in the most professional way and most effective way possible.
I love the mentoring. I love the mentoring portion of the teachings. I just felt like that's where a lot of it came together, and I could really go one-on-one with you, other coaches, and I learned, again, a lot of styles that maybe I don't possess could be used with clients based on what I saw happening. So there's different styles, and I learned a few there that I can apply to different types of clients.
So I have two more questions for you. So one, you come from this background of marketing and strategy and, you know, always having to have the answers. And most people come to coaching from, obviously, from something else. You bring whatever it is that you that you've done in the past to coaching, and you build on it, because I believe whatever we've done in the past has given us wisdom. It's given us experience that can help us help others. For you, how has this transition been? Because you are now, I mean, in this very short period of time, just going forward with your coaching practice. How has that transition been, and how has your background helped you as a coach, or maybe made it harder in some ways?
So one of the reasons I was attracted to coaching was that in my job, helping professional service providers write business plans and set business development goals and other marketing things, I always defaulted to coaching as the main communication mode for my client, my internal clients and I. So getting to know them, establishing a rapport, figuring out what they were going for, how I could be essential to that process, all was how I started to set up my job inside a big professional service firm. So when I started to think about coaching, it was a natural for me, because that's the piece of it I love the most. You can't really help people at, you know, in a professional setting, I think, without understanding what motivates them. You can't understand what motivates unless you build a rapport. So that was a great entree, but the piece of it that's a little different is that I did feel like I needed to present in those situations and have all the answers. So in a way, coaching is a much easier rapport, because I can see what the possibilities are, but it's essential that the client really pinpoint what they want to do, and then I support that.
That's so good. I love hearing you talk about all this, because it's so obvious that you've just made the coach training program, the coaching process, a part of who you are and what you're doing. You know, and in coaching, we've got to have those right questions, but we've got to create the safe space. We've got to build the trust and intimacy so the client can be honest. You can't have coaching breakthroughs if people aren't really operating in honesty and truth. So this is so good. So for the person who's considering CTI online and they're on the fence and they're like, I don't know, should I make this investment? Like, is this what I should do? I don't know. Maybe I'll just keep looking at other programs. That's how I was, Carolyn. I looked at programs for like 2 years. It was ridiculous how much time I actually wasted. What do you say to that person who's thinking about the CAP Institute and thinking about the Coach Training Intensive?
I think that you can definitely find a lot of training out there. The thing that kept me, I didn't look at too many programs actually myself. I looked at a few, but I was always very sure of your integrity and the way you live your own life. And I felt that that was the best model that I would find for myself: integrity, caring, successful in various parts of your life. It's that your being honorable made me and having so much integrity made me very comfortable with the choice, because that's the type of life I want, and that's the type of client I want who seeks that. So I felt very comfortable with CAP. And
Thank you, Carolyn.
I did not, I look at things now and they come across my desk and I see it's noise to me, because I don't see that same, this is very true and very heartfelt. I don't think I would want to be trained by anyone whose life I didn't want to model, someone I didn't admire and truly believe in as a human being, because we're helping other human beings live their best life. So I needed that person in front of me so that I have things to work for. So I would say for anyone thinking about it, there are a lot of people that can help you make money. But if you really care about how you make the money and the impact you make on other people's lives, I think you should choose Valerie, CTI, and CPAC and CAP Institute overall.
You are so kind. And of course, we've had the opportunity to work together. I mean, am I allowed to say how?
Yeah.
Carolyn. In coaching, we don't tell people when we've worked with them as a client, but Carolyn was my individual coaching client years ago. I don't know how long ago it was that you found me. Maybe
17 years ago. Yeah, 17. Yeah, between 17 and 20 years. Yeah, it's a long time.
Oh yeah, I was still in Maryland, so it was before 2009, where you really, and you had worked with another coach previously, but you know, that's that example of being coached, helping you to, one, be able to respect coaching and know that it works, but then using what you learn as you're being coached as a coach. And I appreciate that. And I know you also have really enjoyed working with our other instructors. LaFern, Kim, Lisa was with the mentor coaching program.
Christine too.
Brian, yes. We have an amazing group of coaches who are our trainers. So I so appreciate you being willing to share your feedback. And I just thought it was so incredible that you went through CTI in person, and then you're like, I'm going to go back.
Can I add one thing about going back? I remember the one thing I said to you is I felt like I found my tribe of people who were seeking so deeply to be of service to other people with the utmost respect for the client, and people who I just loved and thought, you know, modeling. I think as a coach, you're always looking for people to model for different things for your own life. And LaFern and Kim and Christine, Lisa, everyone, I will say, has the same level of integrity that I need to learn. So I felt like I found my tribe, and I wasn't ready to go. I wanted to keep learning more. So that was a big part of it too.
That's awesome. Carolyn, thank you so much. And I just know you're going to see great things happen as you continue to move forward with coaching. And I'm excited for you. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Valerie.